You are listening to the Live and Level Gamers podcast in association with FullEffectGaming.com. See, we don't play those games. We just play those games. With Level Head Game. John Shaw, K-Bomb 20, D2K, Jedi Knight. The Live and Level Gamers podcast, where gamers come to talk.
What's up, people? It's your boy Levelhead back with another Live and Level Gamers podcast. And I got my boy D2K. Go on and introduce yourself, man.
What's going on, everybody? D2K.
And we here to host what we call our Sunday discussion. We try to do this with our boy Jedi Knight. Hopefully he joins us here in a few. But we're here to talk about a few things. As you can see in our topics, we're going to talk about the NX. We're going to talk about 4K gaming. And we also going to talk about this Pokemon Craze and much more. But before we jump into all that, it shouldn't be a long podcast today. So should have a pretty quick time, hit some topics and get out of here. But before we jump into all that, as we always do, man, kind of let us know what you've been doing, you know, as far as gaming, any new movies you've been watching or books you've been reading or the art you've been working on, whatever, man. Just let us know what you've been on for the last, since Thursday. So that'd be last 2.5 days.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just me and you.
I didn't know you would throw it. Well, game-wise, I'm not really playing anything new. My nephew is over. And I was letting him play the Battle Stadium DON on my Dolphin emulator, which is basically it's a clone of Smash Brothers, but it has the Shonen Jump characters instead of, Smash Brother characters. You got like the people from Naruto, people from One Piece, people from Dragon Ball Z, and it pretty much plays the same. It's a little bit different, but it plays the same. It's pretty cool. He enjoyed it. As far as art, I just got through drawing Jury from Street Fighter V in her Street Fighter V outfit. And I don't think I'll be able to, because I have a convention that's coming up next week, Sunday. And I don't think I'll be able to draw all the Street Fighter V characters by then. But I'm going to try to do as many as I can to have for sale at the convention. But,
so how much would you make on just one of those? Like, how much can you? Is it just like a back and forth? You throw out a price and they try to talk you down or stuff like that, or
no? What I normally do is when you go to when you have like a table in the Artist Alley, and like C2E2 or Wizard World or San Diego Comic Con. San Diego Comic Con is the heavyweight Grandmaster Super Bowl Comic Con events. I can never afford to go out there. But you can charge pretty much whatever you want because it's just people are packed in there like a sardine can. I mean, that's where all the big stars are. Movie reveals are shown up there, so that's where you can charge pretty much whatever you want. People will buy it because they're there. But smaller shows like this, I usually charge like $5 for 8.5 by 11 size print, and 12 by 18. I usually charge $10 per print.
Okay. And so you print them out right there on spot?
No. I don't. I have them pre-printed from a print shop somewhere.
Okay.
If I don't have enough time, I go to like an Office Depot or something like that. But the quality usually is good because they don't bleed to the edge there with the pictures. But I wish I had a printer that was powerful enough. I had enough money to keep throwing ink in there to print on the spot. That would be cool because then I could actually do art, do commissions on the spot, and then print it out for that person rather than having them come back the next day of the convention and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Any movie you watched lately? No, none of that.
I know what movie I didn't watch.
What's that?
you know what movie I'm talking about.
Oh, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
You got to be talking about Ghostbusters. All right.
No, I didn't watch that. I didn't watch that.
Well, for me, man, I thought that Batman versus Superman was out, and I found out it didn't coming out until Tuesday, so that messed up my movie plan. But as far as gaming, I actually been playing Destiny. Ain't that crazy?
No, I've been still playing that.
Yeah, but I ain't never, I just found out that it was actually on my PlayStation 4. I don't know how I got on there. I don't know where it came from, but I have the whole game on my PlayStation 4. I'm still trying. My son said he didn't do it, and I'm like, I know I didn't pay for it, but I got it. So I've been playing through it.
So you say it just appeared on your?
Yeah, I was going through. How you go through and check out how much of your hard drive is used up, and I saw on there that 59 gigabytes of my hard drive was allocated to Destiny, and I was like, where did I get Destiny from? Now maybe I downloaded it, didn't know it, but maybe I caught it when it was free and didn't know that I downloaded. I don't know. I just can't remember.
It's funny that you mentioned that because the same thing happened with me with the Crew on Xbox One. I booted it up and I was getting ready to play Halo, and all of a sudden said Crew is ready to play. I'm like, what? I didn't download this.
Mm-hmm.
It just downloaded the whole thing, and there's all kinds of apps and stuff that just downloaded themselves onto the hard drive. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, I got Taken King and all that, man. I'm sitting up trying to figure out how I got it. Is it just a trial version? But I'm pretty sure a trial version wouldn't take up 59 gigabytes. So that's a lot of space for a trial. So I don't know. I need to investigate more, but I've been playing it, and I played a lot of it, and it's not that bad. I threw a lot of slack at Destiny, based off of the hearsay and especially not being an FPS type of person, but I don't get dizzy. I don't get seasick. I don't, my eyes don't get taxed and tired. You know how, your eyes start watering when you play like certain games that's kind of stressing on your eyes. I don't feel none of that. I feel fine. So I've been playing through it. It's nice graphics. Everything is pretty cool about that, and I enjoy it. Also been playing The Last of Us, which we talked about this past Thursday, so I don't have to really go into detail on that. But what else? Kind of been on the back burner with my music. I need to pick that back up. But pretty much that's about it, man. I call myself trying to, man, and maybe I'll say this for our first topic. We'll get into this, but that's basically what I've been doing, man. Play a little Destiny. Like I told you before we started recording, I was at a friend of mine's daughter's birthday party, so we took the twins and my 5-year-old there and was there all yesterday. So that's been about it for me, So, like I said, we got a short cast today because a few guys couldn't make it because, Sunday, some with church. What was that?
That was my 808 thump.
Okay.
Yeah,
it sounds like Optimus Prime doing like Transforming or something. Like I said, hopefully Jedi Knight joins us here. Possibly, maybe not. He is overseas, so it's a little bit different trying to connect with him. That's why we try to do these Sunday podcasts so that he can get on with us. But before we get into our topics, I want to throw this at you, man. This is a topic, but and this is when I bought The Last of Us. I was out just looking to buy a game, and this is my wife down here. So if y'all hear noise, y'all understand why. Don't you disturb me while I'm anyway. Let me stop before I get in trouble. I was out and I was looking for a game to play. I was like, man, let me go see what's on sale and things like this. This is when I bought The Last of Us last week. Well, I went into the Wii U section, the Nintendo section, trying to see if there would be any sales. And I also did this. We was at Walmart last night, and I went over, to the Xbox section, to the Sony section, with the PlayStation, and then of course you go to the Nintendo section with the Wii U and Wii and everything over there. And you know what? I'm it's puzzling to me that, and I don't want to start on this note. This might come off as a bad note to some listeners, but it's a good place to start. That's just a question I want to throw at you. Is it puzzling to you that in the state of the Wii U, some of Nintendo games are still at the same price they were when they first were released? Like, why is Captain Toad still $39.99? Like, couldn't we make that game like $19.99 so it can possibly sell more? Or some of these other games just never. And it was something I probably praised back in the day, so I might sound a little hypocritical. I don't know, but some titles seem to me shouldn't still be costing $59.99, $49.99, or even $39.99. 2 years removed. I think these games should come down in price, like Last of Us. Very good game, highly regarded game. It went from $59.99 to I think $39.99 to $19.99. And I'm trying to wonder why you don't see much of that with Nintendo games. So let me throw that at you, man, and get your thoughts on that right quick before we get into the topics we got down.
I don't really know. I know back in the day, when they still had cartridges like on the Super Nintendo and the N64, the prices of games would stay very expensive. They would be like $70 and $80.
Yeah,
certain first-party titles because they were rare, because people didn't trade those games in. It wasn't like you saw a whole lot of used versions of Super Mario 64 or Zelda Ocarina of Time at GameStop or Funko Land or whatever it is that you were going to at that time. And then later on, it's still the same thing rang true, is that it was hard to find a used copy of Mario Galaxy, a used copy of Smash Bros. Melee or Smash Bros. Brawl or stuff like that. So the retail price for the new version will stay pretty much close to what it was when it launched. At this point, I don't know. Maybe they just they figure that it doesn't really make any difference at this point to lower the price, because they're pretty much wrapping up things with the Wii U and moving over to the NX. And so they figure, like, we're not going to even bother, just let it die a slow death. We don't care. I mean, people, pretty much anybody who wanted to buy Toad got it, and it's blowing the price is not going to change anything at this point. People are like, oh, the Toad is $34 now, I can go buy it. No, it's not going to change.
Well, I mean, it might, maybe not one game. I'm with you on that, but okay. And we're going to talk about the NX and what we think it is, and just speculate on some of the rumors and some of the, everything that's out in the social media and YouTube and all that. But it would be an incentive for those who haven't picked up a Wii U if Nintendo would possibly cut the price of the Wii U, maybe sell it for $199. If we know the NX is coming out next year, which we know, we pretty much know that the Wii U is pretty much a done deal far as what it is, what it was trying to do. Nintendo has moved on. To me, like they said, if you want a Wii U, now's the time to buy it. Well, where's the incentive? You're still selling it for $299. Majority of your games are still the same price they were when they were first released. So it's like, where's the deals? Where's the incentive to get people like, well, even though I didn't buy the Wii U when it was when it was the hot thing, now that it's on sale and the games are kind of cheaper, let me pick this up, buy as many games as I can, and enjoy it for what it is. I think Nintendo, at the pace that they selling, I don't see what lowering the price and moving more product and hardware would hurt it. That's me. I think it would generate a few additional sales if the price was lowered and the game prices came down. But if you still paying $59.99 for Mario 3D World, and you still playing $59.99 for Hyrule Warriors and Wind Waker, you still playing $49. Now it's like these games, some of these games are literally 4 years old. Like, why are they still the exact same price? And you know, I know people don't want to hear that, but hey, we don't come here to talk to make you feel good, to stroke your fandom. We come to talk real talk. Sometimes it's going to be in favor, sometimes it's going to be real questions. So to me, one thing I used to praise the evergreen titles of Nintendo, I look at it as, in this situation solely, not Nintendo as a whole, but with the Wii U and the situation of the Wii U, to me, Nintendo could do themselves a favor, cut the price of the Wii U, make it not $199, maybe even can flirt with $150, and maybe stop producing it and sell out of the stock that's out there, and then lower some of the price of the games, especially the older games that's 3 and 4 years removed, and bring them games to like $19.99 or $29.99 or $24.99, stuff like that. I think you might sell more stuff.
Well, if something like that happens, it probably will happen either closer to or at the holiday season when people are spending the most money. I don't think it's really advantageous for them to do it right now.
Right.
I think that once the holiday season comes, people are expecting bargains, they're looking for bargains. That's when you do it. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be a price drop coming for the Wii U, just so they can help clear out that stock. But my point is that Nintendo's focus right now is solely on NX. They are done with the Wii U completely. They don't have any focus in that area at all. Zelda for the Wii U is basically just a thank you for the Wii U fans, Nintendo fans that stuck with them with the Wii U. I'm not even sure if the Wii U really was the destination console for Zelda Breath of the Wind in the first place. I think that when they first came up with this concept, that they had the NX in mind, but they said that we need to at least make this game on the Wii U as well. We can't just not have a major Zelda on our main console. We can't let console generation pass without a major Zelda. That would be just totally out of order. So I think that it's kind of like to say, okay, we're giving you Zelda for the Wii U. Thank you very much. But the real version is going to be on the NX, pretty much.
Okay.
Because like we were saying before, that footage that we saw initially at E3 2014, when Onuma is sitting in front of the screen, and he snaps his fingers, and then you see Link on the horse. I'm not going to say it's Epona because we don't know that if that's Epona, but he's sitting on the horse, and the graphics of that and the realism and everything looked way more advanced than what we saw at E3 this year.
Right.
And I think that was footage from the NX version of Breath of the Wind. So
yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I brought that up. I think a few podcasts back, and I brought that up last year. I mean, I think Nia was on that podcast when I broached that topic. Where I think that footage was either legit NX footage or was representation of NX footage. That's what I think it was. So yeah, I agree.
Because the rumor has it that both versions have been developed concurrently. It wasn't like they just took the Wii U version and ported it over to the NX and then leveraged the assets that the NX has to get the graphics to look better and the resolution and the tessellation and all that type of stuff. They've been working on two separate versions, one for the Wii U and one for the NX simultaneously.
So both are from the ground up for each system.
Right. I'm not saying that's confirmed. I'm just saying that's the rumor, but it seems to make sense based off of what we have heard and what we have seen.
Right. So, I mean, and this kind of leads into our first topic, like what do we think the NX is? And like you said, first of all, when you look at Breath of the Wild, from my understanding too, that if the NX is not backwards compatible, then it's safe to assume that the game that is going to be on the NX is ground up created. So it's not, it's sharing things, but it's taking full advantage of what the NX can do. That's what I believe. I believe that what's been done on the Wii U is being catered to that system, and what can be done with the NX is actually being taken advantage of. But I saw a video and dealing with the Sheikah slate or what is that, like tablet?
The tablet thing he has.
And they posed I think a very interesting topic and question. Does Nintendo, when they make hardware, oftentimes the software has reflections of new ideas for the hardware. Like when you play Nintendo Land, of course, Nintendo Land was playing heavy to, the gamepad, and the functions and the features of the gamepad. Now, we all know that the demo that was shown at E3 did not take advantage of the actual gamepad. When you look at Zelda Breath of the Wild, one of the arguments or frustrations or disappointments, if there is any, was the fact that the gamepad was not utilized a lot. And I'm thinking to myself, I know Numa said that there will be no gamepad functionality at this moment, but I'm thinking maybe they don't want to showcase some things and some attributes of the game, yet. So they kind of took that stuff out, even maybe gamepad functionality. But they raised the thought that, like history shown, Nintendo typically kind of in software creation has a lot of hardware thoughts in mind. And with this Sheikah slate or whatever it is that pointed to something unique to the NX. And because when you read some of the verbiage on the slate when you first pick it up, it says this is something that you've never seen before, but it's something familiar. Like it's got like a wording like that when it's talking to Link or you who's playing Link. It says this is the Sheikah slate, is something that you've never seen before, but it's somewhat familiar. And how they explained it was, I can't remember what video I was watching, because I would love to give credit to where credit is due, but I can't remember where they were and what video that was. But they were saying that could this possibly pointing to NX controller functionality, something new. So it's not the gamepad, but it's familiar because we have experienced the gamepad. What do you think about that?
I think that was on one of King Avery Games videos. I'm not sure.
Possibly. I can't remember.
I think it's one of his. I think that's his name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. But yeah, Nintendo's historically has had the mentality of coming up with an idea and then building hardware around that idea. Mm-hmm. They might say, okay, what if you could do this in the game? Or what if we could play games like this? And then they start to brainstorm to figure out how they can build hardware that will allow them to play whatever it is that's in their idea. So I'm pretty sure they had an idea for the Zelda game, and they are not only that, but probably whatever the Mario game that they're working on and stuff like that. They're probably built the NX around those ideas. And right now, it's anybody's guess on what the NX is, because there's so many different scenarios out there, and they're all plausible. At this point, anybody's guess is a good guess. Everything is fair game at this point. Somebody said, well, I think it's this, or I think it's that. It's all fair game at this point because we simply just don't know. Mm-hmm. There's tangible and plausible reasons for every theory that's been brought up about the NX so far. I mean, the idea of it being a hybrid console where it's a portable system that can plug into a TV, that's plausible. The idea that there could be some 3D augmented technology built into it, that's plausible. The fact that it could just be a regular straight up console with no frills and no gimmicks whatsoever, that's plausible. The latest thing, and it's not really something that's new because it's something that I kind of proposed a long time ago and other people did as well, is that the NX might not be a console. it may be a network of devices.
Okay.
It may not be just the console. It might be the home terminal console by itself, plus a handheld console by itself, plus some type of mobile device like a smartphone or something like that by itself. And they're all collectively the NX. And they all collectively work with each other, but they all can do their own separate things. If you just want a dedicated gaming portable machine and you don't want any of the other stuff, you can have that. If you want a machine that can actually be that can game but still do stuff that smartphone stuff can do, you can have that. If you don't want the portable stuff, you just want a straight up hardcore gaming console, you can have that. And it's all the NX.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think we did talk about that as well, like it being basically all encompassing. The NX is encompassing everything. It's not just one thing, it's a multiple of things that create the verbiage or the term NX, next, whatever this is going to be, encompasses the home console, the mobile system, and maybe the handheld. If not the handheld, because I believe the handheld and mobile is going to become one entity. I think it would be wise. I don't know if they will do this, but I think it would be wise if Nintendo merges mobile gaming and handheld into one entity and pitch that at all those who love, smartphone games and those who are into like the 3DS and Vita type experience. I think those two kind of can be one entity and it don't have to be separate. Whereas the home console is a different experience with the surround sound, big TVs, 1080p, all that type of stuff. A lot of us just want that and don't care for the mobile handheld experience. So, but yeah, I see that as well. It's so much out there. And one thing, people, you gotta look at this stuff for what it is. Just rumored, man. So I hear a lot of people, I see a lot of videos up on this stuff, and I don't have no problem with it. But I do have a problem when people talk about a rumor as if it's a truth. Like that gets on my nerves after a while. I was like, I think Nintendo is going to do this, or this is what Nintendo, like, it's a rumor, man. There's so many rumors out there. So,
and I also have a problem with people who look at people who are just coming up with theories and clearly saying that they're theories and saying, well, you're stupid for thinking that way. And what I think is the correct way of thinking.
Yeah, that too.
When nobody knows nothing, nobody works for Nintendo, nobody knows anybody who works for Nintendo, nobody's seen or heard anything. All we know is what we've been told, and we don't know nothing about the NX. So don't get all puffed up about it.
Right. So, but yeah, man, this is I think we're in a place that we ain't never really been when it comes to Nintendo. Like, I know they're secretive. I know they're a shadow company until they're fully ready to reveal things, but I don't think it's been this much secret around a piece of hardware is this NX, like, to where no one knows literally nothing. Like, we knew about Wii U and the controller. We even knew about the Wii and its controller. We had heard rumors about the GameCube, and even, if you go even back to the N64 and with the 4 ports and all that and the power, all that was out there speculated on, but
we knew about that, like in '93, we started hearing about Project Reality and Nintendo using the Silicon graphics computers and showing that footage of like the sharks swimming in the water and that plane flying in the desert and stuff like that. And they're saying these are the same computers that were used for Jurassic Park and all that type of stuff. So we knew a whole lot about the N64 before it became that.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, with this NX, like, dude, this is a first. Like, we don't know anything. We know literally nothing. Go ahead.
No, we don't really know anything. And that's the whole thing about this, is that as long as Nintendo doesn't tell us anything, we're just kind of left twisting in the wind until they give us some concrete information. I mean, we could piece together little bits and pieces of actual facts that we do have and come up with a really nice narrative that fits the facts, but it's still not the truth. You know, it's still up in the air, and anybody's guess at this point is a good guess, and anybody's guess is a logical guess until Nintendo tells us something. Now, right now, there is such a good opportunity to tell us something where everybody I should say anybody in the world, but every place where Pokemon Go is being used, now is a good time for you to go and say, okay, now that we got your attention, so Nintendo made a real loud noise in a crowded room. People said, whoa, what's going on over there? Now is when you say, this is what we got coming. And all the casual people that you wanted to go after and bring back, you got their attention now. Now is the perfect time to show them the NX if you want to go back into that blue ocean strategy, which is what Reggie Fils-Aimé said. He said, we're not going in the red ocean with Sony and Microsoft. So what other color ocean is left? The blue one. You know, and then you have Ubisoft saying, yeah, Nintendo's going to recapture the Wii crowd. You have GameStop saying, we guarantee or we are confident that the NX is going to sell. And all these other third parties saying, yeah, it's going to be great, and this is me wonderful, and it's going to be successful. They obviously know something. So they have to take advantage of this, because as popular as Pokemon Go is, it could be over just like that.
True.
It could be over just like that. It's not something that is guaranteed to be sustaining successful for a long period of time. And it will be really sad if Pokemon Go comes and goes, no pun intended, and then you miss this whole opportunity to show off the NX to everybody who needs to see it.
I agree. I mean, and we're going to talk about this Pokemon Go. We talked about it a little bit last week, but something happened. I guess we can spin off into it, and since we're talking about Nintendo, might as well make it all one conversation. But did you see that? And I think courtesy of K-Bum 20, that clip of what happened in Washington Park, like the big craze, like thousands of people flooding Washington Park to catch a Pokemon. I think another one happened in New York.
I didn't see that.
Man, like, I'm looking at it right now, man, and it was hundreds of thousands of people at the same park at the exact same time trying to find this particular Pokemon. And then
to find one?
I don't know if it's one, but it was some Pokemon that they were looking for. And this stuff is trending everywhere. I mean, I don't care where you go, YouTube, World Star, Twitter, Instagram. Pokemon Go is like unnaturally hot. So it would behoove Nintendo to take advantage of the attention that they have generated by this game. And one guy corrected us from last week's podcast. Nintendo does partially own the company that made Pokemon Go. So they just didn't license it out. They actually have some ownership in that company as well. So that's a correction on our behalf. But now, and I'll let you know who said that here in a second once I go back to that.
I saw the comment.
Yeah, I want to give credit to the guy who let us know that. Hold up, just a sec. Y'all hear that? But who is it? Let's see. I think it was Clarity Sav. That who that was? Yeah. Clarity Sav. That's who said that they have partial ownership in that company. But yeah, I think Nintendo should. This is, if you need to strike while the iron is hot, man, you need to go ahead and iron out your crease right now, because like you said, it could be over and done with just as fast as it blew up. It could be yesterday's news. So, but let me ask you this, man, since we on this topic. What do you personally think or would like for the NX to be? Out of all the stuff you heard, even some of the research you did, the article you put up on fulleffectgaming.com with all that in your thoughts, and maybe rumors you read on My Nintendo News and Nintendo Life and all the other places, what do you, D2K, what would you like for the NX to be?
What I would like for the NX to be is a console that is competing in power with Project Scorpio, with the ability to upgrade in power as time goes on, and has all the features that Nintendo consoles have lost in the past, plus some new features that other companies may not have thought about. So that way we're not lacking anything in terms of video chat and online and just the ability to stream and stuff like that. All those things need to be in the NX. I already know Nintendo's going to give me the games from themselves, their first party games. I already know their first party games are going to be solid, so that's nothing to have to wish for. And if Nintendo has a console that's as powerful, or at least competing in power with Scorpio, and it has common architecture, I know it's going to get third-party support. Mm-hmm. It's going to have third-party support, so that's not even a question. People say, well, I don't know if it's going to get it. It will have it. It's not even a question to ask anymore. If it's as powerful as Scorpio, or even just somewhere close to it, and it has common architecture, it's a done deal. For me, that's all it needs. It doesn't need anything else. It doesn't need to be mobile. It doesn't need to have 3D. It doesn't need to have different components. If it's a powerful system, it can be upgraded in power, and it has all the regular stuff, I'm fine.
Checking.
Oh, okay, Jedi Knight is in the house.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My apologies for being late.
No, you good, man. Let me re-clarify something again, because I said the wrong name. The person who let us know that Nintendo owned a part of Niantic, who made Pokemon Go, is Heart and Soul 72. So it wasn't Clarity Sav, it was Heart and Soul 72. And I just wanted to make that known, so that's who gave us that info. But go ahead, D2K, finish what you were saying.
I'm done.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me bring Jedi Knight up to speed, man. What we've been talking about, and I'm pretty sure you missed all the intro stuff. So what we've been talking about is, what do we want the NX to be? Like, there's a whole bunch of rumors out. Everybody have their speculations and all that. But far as you as a fan of Nintendo, Jedi Knight, what do you want the NX to be, personally?
I want the NX to be an innovative console. I don't think that it's a bad thing that Nintendo attempts to do things differently. I think that level of innovation is what drives the marketplace, the industry in itself. And sometimes when you do things that end up being surprisingly good, such as the Wii, then you reap the benefits. And then if you try something like the Wii U and it fails, but at the end of the day, to us as consumers, it may have failed because it only sold 10, 11, 12 million units. But Nintendo is a $20 billion company. I don't think they hurt themselves that bad, right? I'm not saying that they're looking to lose money, which I don't think they lost any on the Wii U. But I think the fundamental, the foundation of what the NX should be something different, in a sense of trying to push gaming forward, instead of it just being a powerful, graphically capable box with a controller. You can get that anywhere. And especially a person who doesn't really entertain the console wars per se. Sometimes I do check in on certain videos and it is funny, but inherently that's not really my style. Mm-hmm. The reason why I've always liked Nintendo is because they like to push the envelope. So for as long as Nintendo is trying to push the envelope with the NX, I think I would be content with that. I would love some awesome graphics, because that seems what the software developers need in order to put their third-party games on the console. At the end of the day, if there's a console with no games, then it kind of defeats the purpose. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that if Nintendo finds a way to establish that third-party presence while at the same time still trying to push the envelope, then the NX is exactly where it needs to be.
Okay, I didn't ask this to D2K, but I'm asking to use, and I'll throw it back to D2K. What would you love for Nintendo to avoid with the NX? Like maybe things that they did not do with the Wii U that you would love for them to do with the NX, or things that they do too much of that you would love to see them do less of with the NX. Like, go there for a second, then I'll jump back to D2K with the same question.
Are you asking D2K or
No, I'm
myself?
asking you first, and then I'm gonna throw it to D2K after that.
Okay, it's really hard to say because personally I didn't think that there was anything wrong with the Wii U. What
Okay.
what occurred was there were no games. You know, if the Wii U, that's the answer actually. The Nintendo NX, they need games. If they can provide games with the console, then they did what was necessary. There were a plethora of games that any other home console owner had that I never experienced because I didn't buy those other consoles. Instead, what I did was go out and I supported Nintendo the way I typically do, and then ended up purchasing just a handful of games because I don't play every single game. But when it gets to the point where just certain basic games, such as, you know, 2K basketball or Madden per se, when that's not even reaching your console, there's a problem. I don't think that graphically there was an issue with the Wii U. That's my personal opinion. Not to say that the PS3 and the Xbox, not the PS3, the PS4 and the Xbox One weren't doing bleeding edge technology on a graphical level, but anybody who's just looking to enjoy themselves playing games, the Wii U wasn't a bad console, especially when you can just take your controller to bed and get a hour of whatever game you want to play right before you go to sleep, you know, without having to bother your significant other because you're playing on a gamepad. I think it was a cool concept. They need games, though.
Mhm. Right. I agree. I agree. I don't think, from a technical sense, there were anything that couldn't be done. Well, it might not look the exact same, but uh, the droughts were a big issue. Go ahead, D2K. What are some things you would like to see Nintendo detour from with the NX that is, was prevalent, with I would say any generation prior to this coming generation, Wii U, Wii, GameCube, whatever practices that you feel like Nintendo needs to avoid with the NX, share 'em with me, with us.
Well, I think that they need to avoid change for the sake of change. That's one of the things that's really been a problem going all the way back to the N64. Um, they need to avoid being stubborn and inward looking in their decision making processes. That's another problem that's been a problem since the N64. A case in point, if now I agree with Jedi that the graphics of the Wii U are pretty much fine in certain games. It depends on the developer who understand PowerPC architecture can get the most out of the Wii U graphics and get games that have graphics that rival that of the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. But the problem is that you can't get that for everybody because everybody's not that talented. And for them to basically stick with PowerPC architecture rather than go to x86 was a huge mistake. And I know the reason why they did it is because they wanted things to be backwards compatible. So you can just take your Wii game, stick it in there and play. But it didn't make a whole lot of sense because the games that you would want to play from the Wii era wound up being released on the Virtual Console on the Wii U anyway. So what was the point? You know? Things like there was stuff that you could do on the Wii that you can't do on the Wii U. That's inexcusable. They just start. I mean, stuff like that. They have to avoid taking things away that worked to try new things. There's no reason why you can't keep what was working before and add to that. And I think that's what Nintendo needs to do with the NX. Take everything that worked with the Wii U and go back and grab everything that worked on the Wii, what worked on the GameCube, what worked on the N64, what worked on the NES, worked on the SNES. Find ways to incorporate those things into the NX some way, shape, or form, and add on your new innovative things. That way, nobody's missing anything. And we just mentioned like not having sports titles. If you can't get licenses from 2K or you can't get licenses from EA, fine. Make your own sports games. There's no reason why you can't. You did that with the NES and SNES. You had your own sports titles. Do it again. As long as it's exclusive, you can have an NFL game, you can have Major League Baseball, you can have the NBA, as long as it's exclusive to the NX. Do it. That's an audience that you don't reach at all. It's completely barren on Nintendo. Both their consoles, the Wii U and the 3DS. You need to have sports games. You need to have fighting games. You need to have action adventure. You need to have survival horror. You need to have RTS. You need to have first-person shooters, third-person shooters. Those things are important, and just as important as platformers and party games and all the other genres that you do well and you feel comfortable with. As an artist, I can understand being in a comfort zone and you not wanting to venture out in other things because you feel comfortable doing certain things a certain way. But when you are in the business world, when you have consumers that want to consume something, you have to give them what they want to consume. And if they don't like what you're giving them to eat, they're going to go find somewhere else to eat it.
Right. And that's the conundrum, man. It's a difficult situation because I agree with both you guys. And what y'all saying kind of mirroring each other in different facets. But what I hear in general is, like what Jedi said, I like the innovation. I like when you pick up a Nintendo system. There's something unique to it. Now, it has gotten termed and laced gimmick, but I think that's an unfair
perspective.
Perspective placed on all things innovation or innovative with Nintendo. Is always the gimmick term is always thrown out there to kind of throw salt or throw shade or make it not be as something that's worthy of your attention. The innovation with the gamepad, very great innovation, but because it was labeled gimmick from the gate, oh well, let's not focus on it. Or it's cheesy, or it's cheap, it don't work right, or it don't feel right. Anything to keep your attention away from checking out the true innovation that the gamepad brought to the table, or even with the Wii remote, or the little changes and nuances of the GameCube controller, how they did the button layout. It wasn't traditional. It was different. Well, that won't work with a fighting game. Well, then Smash Bros. Come out, and that's considered the best Smash Bros. Ever. But I like that about Nintendo. But like D2K says, what am I going to lose for the innovation? It's like, what are you going to turn your back on to hand me this new thing? It's like, can we continue to do what works? Like, this is what hurt me coming out of the N64. To me, Nintendo created the perfect fan base with the N64. It had everything. Every type of game, whether they were making it, subpar, third-party support, the whole nine, the N64 had it all. If you wanted party-type games, you wanted the hardcore first-person shooter, you had the Golden Eyes, you had what Rare was doing, you had what Nintendo was doing, you had it just in abundance on the N64.
You had a lot of slept-on fighting games on the N64, like Fighter's Destiny, Dark Rift, Mace the Dark Ages, War Gods. I mean, I went back to my library, and I'm just picking out fighting. I didn't even know this game existed. Where did this come from? Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. All these fighting games on the N64 just gone from that
right. Wave Race, all them games that was just there, done well. To me, the fan base that was there, that's what Nintendo should have carried through for the next few generations. So the GameCube comes, they kind of continue, but they turned their back. Like, they went this different way with the GameCube, didn't know if they wanted to be, innovation with graphics, or they didn't know what they wanted to do with the GameCube, it seemed like to me. It was like they wanted to go at the hardcore, but they didn't want to go at the hardcore. But with the N64, they found the happy medium. And with the Wii, I won't lie, I love the Wii. I like the Wii. But it was not one of my favorite platforms. I
If I
felt
can
like.
interject, no, I'm
Go ahead, go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
No, continue. I want to hear everything you have to say before.
Well, it wasn't one of my favorite platforms, not because that was not greatness on the Wii. We had a lot of great games, but what made me love the N64 and that's when that's when Nintendo was was fighting to gain back popularity from Sony and trying to fight for its position, so to speak. And they lost because the decision to go cartridge, but still, like what they was doing for me as a gamer, they was doing it all. I mean, there was nothing that I could want that I didn't get on the N64. But with the Wii, everything was like I like the Wiimote. I like everything the Wiimote did, but everything became about trying to make it fit with the Wiimote. And it was like some games just didn't have to be that. Like on the Xbox 360, you can get a traditional Resident Evil game, but on the Wii, you got a point and click shooter type of game. Rail shooter. There you go. Other games that could have been great, like Dark. What was it? We talked about this game. It's a scary game. Dang it. Anyway, it didn't come to my head. But when they brought it to the Wii, they turned it into a rail shooter. And it's just like, why? What can we do what Metroid Prime did? It was a shooter, but it was traditional. It just utilized the Wiimote to be the shooter, but it still played like a regular game. It wasn't stuck to rails and all that. It seemed like it just, I don't know. With the Wii,
but that was an example of one of those games that was built around the technology. You can tell that Metroid Prime was designed with the Wiimote in mind. Metroid Prime 2, I'm saying.
right.
The first one obviously came on the GameCube, but you can tell that was designed around the because that's one of the first things that they showed in the sizzle reel at E3 2006 was Metroid Prime 2.
Okay. Well, it was Dead Space. That's the game that they.
Not Metroid Prime 3. I'm sorry, not 2, 3. It was
Okay.
3. Yeah.
The
And
game
you
I
know
was
what?
talking.
I thought of Dead Space. I remember that on-rail shooter. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's what I was talking about. On the Xbox 360 and on the PlayStation 4, it was the game. But on the Wii, they turned it into a rail shooter. And I'm like, why can't we just get the game with Wii functionality added to the game instead of with the analog sticks? The Wii is and the remote nunchuck is what you're doing, like Metroid Prime 3.
It was a money grab.
Right. So that's what I won't say jaded me with the Wii, but it kind of didn't allow me to fully embrace the Wii as my all-time favorite Nintendo hardware and product. It was cool. I like the fact that it brought Nintendo back into relevance. I like the fact that it was trending like this Pokemon Go. But as far as me as a gamer, it just didn't do everything I wanted. And I was hoping the Wii U was going to be that, and then the Wii U wasn't that either. So I don't know. But go ahead, Jedi. Now you was going to say something that I might have sparked.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I guess I'm going to touch on a couple of things, but I think what occurred with the Wii and the Wii U is this. With the Wii, and I'll give a prime example, Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty, I've probably played in my lifetime with analog sticks maybe about 100 hours between the other consoles and PC. I can't even play Call of Duty on PC because I can't do a keyboard and mouse, and with the analog stick, I'm getting wrecked on PC, so I don't even try anymore. But when you play Call of Duty on the Wii, it didn't matter about the graphics. If you were nice with the Wiimote and nunchuck, you were nice. There was no such thing as 360 no scopes and all of that nonsense. You had to be good because you were actually aiming. What people call gimmick, when it came to the Wii, wasn't a gimmick. It was legit to immerse you even more into the game. Where the Wii fell was that the Wii U failed was that the handheld was literally a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Because it didn't do anything outside of just placing a screen on a controller. On top of the fact that having to create that controller cost resources. You had to allocate resources which if they didn't make that type of remote, could have at least went to the graphical end to give you a better looking game overall. But they didn't do that. And now you were stuck with a console, and not everybody, there are very, very few people who are like me to where graphics are not really that important.
Right.
To where I can play a game and I know that there's a particular game on the Wii U that I can enjoy that looks way better on the other consoles, but it doesn't matter to me. The problem is that is not the industry. I don't represent the industry in that regard. People want the prettiness, the sexiness, if you will. And because Nintendo presented a console with a literal gimmick, it failed. But that Wiimote, it was phenomenal. I've logged in thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours just playing Call of Duty Black Ops and Modern Warfare Reflex. You know, it reminded me of GoldenEye back in the day on the 64. You know, it was just endless weekends down the drain giving these games here. But anyway, I wanted to touch on what D2K said about Nintendo going back to making games, you know, and making those exclusives. I think this is what Nintendo has to do. And if you think about it, even if Nintendo comes out with a console that is on par with the Scorpio or the PS4 Neo, the industry has been geared towards Sony and Microsoft for so long that Nintendo simply does not have that market share anymore outside of their dedicated fans. So if you have something that's on par, there is no reason to get it. What Nintendo has to do is create games that people will want to say, that will want to go and play. It's kind of like what the Dreamcast did when Sega was making all of those consoles, and when they finally got to the Dreamcast, and EA was like, oh no, we're not going to give you these games because we don't know if you're going to leave the Dreamcast in the dust 2 months after release. What did Sega do? They made Sega Sports. This is the reason why you even have the 2K series. Anybody who played those football and basketball games knew that though people may have said that the Dreamcast was a quote-unquote failure, anybody who owned a Dreamcast had some of the greatest games ever made.
Yes. True. Yes.
And
Amen.
it's because Sega's back was to the wall. That's why it happened. Nintendo has to do that. And I think that if they're able to do that, that will be the reason for people to go over. And granted, it kind of sounds contradictory when I say that Sega made some of the greatest games ever made on a console that ultimately failed. But I also think it had to do with the fact that Sega was also drowning as a company. They didn't have resources to really back it. They kind of came out in between two different generations, and by the time the PS2 came out, you had DVDs and Ethernet connections. It was just a bad time for them. Not that the Dreamcast was a bad console. I owned the Dreamcast, and that console was not a bad console.
No, Dreamcast was probably one of the.
And
to me, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, really quick. The last thing that I want to touch on is what you and D2K said before in regards to Nintendo always looking inward on themselves. The Nintendo 64 sold maybe about 40 million units. It was a successful console. It wasn't as successful as it could have been because Nintendo couldn't see the writing on the wall when it came to the way they presented their games to the consumer, which wasn't for cartridges anymore. It was for CDs or DVDs, right? Nintendo needs to really look at the industry and see what should be considered requirements for the console that will make sure that they stay relevant. I think going back to carts is the perfect situation for Nintendo, right? But because of the level of technology from back when Nintendo 64 was their primary console to now, just with loading times, the size of the carts, all of that now would be relevant. But I think that Nintendo really needs to sit down and see, okay, outside of whatever innovation that we really want to present, any type of quote-unquote gimmick we want to present, There are certain things that should just be a standard. And if we can get that right, then Nintendo has a chance.
Right, I agree. Now, going back to what you said about Sega, the Dreamcast, a lot of people don't realize that if you want to be honest, if you just be honest for a second, the Dreamcast could easily be considered one of the, if not the best piece of hardware ever made. You know, just being honest, pound for pound, it could literally be up there. What hurt?
An argument for me.
Yeah.
What hurt?
It's my second best console of all time.
Right. Well, hurt. I mean, to me, it'd be between that and the N64. Them be my two top. Like what they did and what they were doing for the time. Them be my two top. What hurt the Sega Dreamcast? I mean, what hurt Sega as a company was the constant disruption in hardware, constantly releasing hardware, like you said, Jedi Knight, unexpectedly disrupting the marketplace, and which caused third party to kind of be leery about supporting it because they didn't know when they was gonna kick the bucket on it and move to the next thing. But what they did with the software, and we can kind of everybody keeps talking about Nintendo need to go third party. Look at what happened to Sega when they went third party. Something was lost in their transition from making games for their own piece of hardware to making games for other companies' hardware. Something was lost in that transition. The games just did not come out the same. Even down to Sonic, stuff just ain't the same since it's haven't been made for Sega hardware. And I can see the same thing happening with Nintendo because I think Nintendo and Sega had the same type of mindset. The hardware and the software kind of were married to each other. They were made for that hardware, and the hardware was made for that software. But like you said with 2K Sports, what was it? NFL 2K on the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
You couldn't show me a Madden game at that time. It got no play in my house at all. It wasn't no comparison. So, man, you right on the money. And Nintendo, back in them days, had their own baseball games. They had some decent. They never took it as serious as Sony, as Sega did, but they had it just in case you wanted that experience. What I will tip my hat to Sega is they took sports serious, and they carved out their own path that really hasn't been supplanted to this day.
But you know what? But with Sega, they were always known for being the company that provided the pinnacle in sports games, going all the way back to the 16-bit era. If you wanted to have the best sports games, even though you had a counterpart on the SNES, they always said the best sports games and the most sports games were on the Sega Genesis.
Right.
So they were known for, people knew that if you wanted the best sporting game experience, go to Sega. So they already had that in their back pocket when they went on ahead and launched the Sega Sports Series with the Dreamcast. That was a huge feather in their cap at that point. So people said, well, we know this is going to be quality stuff, and then we played it and say, hey, this is simulation-style basketball, simulation-style football, simulation-style baseball. I'll do this.
Yeah, actually, you have a really good point on that, because anybody who remembers the 16-bit era, back when people like myself was playing Live 95 and Live 96, the gameplay, the feel of the game was much more polished on the Genesis than it ever was on the SNES. And you had exclusives like Joe Montana Sports Talk Football that the Super Nintendo couldn't touch with any version of football games that they had on that particular platform. You're absolutely right. I never even thought of it that way.
Even the game, even like arcade style games like NBA Jam, was better on the Sega Genesis than it was in the N64. I mean, on the Super NES.
I was gonna mention Holyfield, the boxing game, man. I'll never forget being.
And Buster Douglas.
Douglas.
Yeah, you're right.
Man, I remember seeing a commercial for that, and dude, it did make you for a second say, "Mike Tyson punch out what?" Like, really? I don't know if I want to play punch out after seeing that.
When they were showing like the Genesis does commercials, and you saw the show, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, that's a game? I can play that in my house? I gotta go to Chuck E. Cheese and play that? Okay, that's what's up.
So getting back to Nintendo and the NX, man, I would love if Nintendo and Sega would just merge into one thing. It'd be crazy what that could produce. But getting back to Nintendo. So basically, we want to see them continue to press gaming forward or push gaming forward with innovation, but at the same time, not turning their back on successful aspects of prior generations that were work that they kind of stopped. And then Jedi Knight said, add those things that are considered staple must-haves to the system. This is, and then they can find success. Is that what you think? Is that what we all kind of saying, basically? Hello?
You're talking to me?
I'm here.
I'm talking to all of us. Like,
Uh.
are we saying Nintendo needs to keep pushing gaming forward with their innovations, but at the same time, not turn their back on things that they've done successful in the past, and what Jedi Knight said, and also look at the market and what gamers consider staple features that are not in a situation where you can not have them. There are must-haves. Add all that in, and Nintendo should be successful. Is that basically what we both all agreeing to?
I would say so. Another thing that I should say, I feel like Nintendo should really concentrate on is 3D gaming. And when I say that, if anybody really noticed, Nintendo began to start tripping over themselves the moment gaming went from 2D platformers to 3D polygons. When we got from the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64, that is when Nintendo began to have problems. And you haven't really seen them capitalize or recover from that. I think that Nintendo has to sit down and really understand what gaming is, in a sense. You know, yes, they're successful as a company, but again, just putting out a console that's powerful, you're gonna buy Nintendo for Nintendo products, right? At least this is the way Nintendo operates. But having one game here, one game there is really not going to do much if Nintendo wants to stay relevant. And I think they're really going to have to sit back and reevaluate gaming in a way. Back when it was 2D platforms, we all know that Nintendo dominated. And a lot of times people would like to say, well, from the N64 on, they've had maybe one or two successful consoles. And I don't necessarily think it was always hardware. I think the transformation of gaming from 2D platformers to 3D really threw Nintendo for a loop. That's just my opinion.
Would you say 3D? Because I believe, because I can hear disagreeers say, because I'm looking at what they did on the 64 with Ocarina of Time, with Mario 64, with Wave Race, with all these 3D games. Would you say as 3D advanced that Nintendo started to have problems keeping up with the advancement of what could be done with the 3D game, like what we see today? Okay, all right, then that makes sense to me. I'm with you on that.
If you think about it, yeah, they had Ocarina of Time, and now you have the new Zelda game. It's always been Zelda. It's always been Mario. You don't even get Wave Race anymore. You don't get F-Zero anymore. Like, what games, honestly, has Nintendo put out? I mean, outside of Splatoon, really. And from what I understand, Nintendo themselves didn't even believe in Splatoon. And you know why they didn't believe in Splatoon? Because it wasn't the typical. It wasn't the Zeldas. It wasn't making a game with the characters that they constantly depend on.
Which they were going to try to do in some
exactly
out of it.
Exactly. And I think that whoever came up with the idea of Splatoon, that person should be in charge of a department that concentrates on 3D gaming and how to really appeal to the new generation of gamers. Because Splatoon appeals to the new generation of gamers. If they would have made Splatoon with Mario and Yoshi, and if people would not appreciate it, because you would have the typical haters saying, "Hey, you know, I don't want to play a first-person or a third-person shooter with Mario." Somebody took a chance, right? And I think that this is what Nintendo has to do. I'm not sure if I'm really saying this as concise as I would like to. But I really think that once the industry went into, like with PlayStation, when you started to see games like Resident Evil, and there was a lot of games that were made that were 3D games that absolutely failed. But there were developers there that had great ideas. And those developers had a platform in the PlayStation to really get their ideas in their head out onto a platform and into the masses. And Nintendo, unaware, alienated themselves because they
Right.
couldn't see it.
I use an example, right? GameCube. When Resident Evil 4 came out, and you literally saw what a mind that was determined to take full advantage of a piece of hardware and introduce a game that can rival cinematic feelings and things like that. Like, we had never seen anything like Resident Evil 4 before Resident Evil 4. Can we all say that? Like, I can't think of no game that rivaled what was being done in Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. Do y'all agree with that? At that time. Could you name it?
I can't say it because I haven't played everything. So
I'm talking about just like between PlayStation and the GameCube and even the Xbox, there was not much brought together like what was brought together in Resident Evil 4. Like, everything hitting, nothing was really lacking. Maybe the only thing I would want to change is maybe the controls of having to stand still to shoot and things like that. But what that game did from a cinematic, cutscene, graphical, control, storyline, like, that was one of the first of its kind to me. You know, you saw it in the Ocarinas of Times, you saw it in the Metal Gear Solids and everything, but you never saw it come together like it did in Resident Evil 4. And it seemed like Nintendo, and I'm going with, I think that's what Jedi Knight's saying, they never advanced in the 3D spec. You know, the place of the gaming of 3D gaming. They never advanced with what hardware could do. Kind of staying in the comfort zone of ultra colorful, ultra cartoony, ultra this, that. Even to this day, Nintendo games still flirt with that more so than not necessarily even having to be realistic in the sense of Battlefield, but like even not the Call of Duty, but the Uncharted and the Last of Us, and
just games that have more contemporary things rather than more, kid friendly.
Right. It's like they have yet to really. What was the last game? I don't even think they made it, but it was exclusive to. They said it was Eternal Darkness.
Yeah.
Might be the last game, one of the few games that was exclusive to Nintendo that gave you that type of feel.
Right.
Nintendo themselves has never done it. At least, or Geist maybe. I don't know anything else that I can name. You know, that Nintendo did.
I mean,
So,
it's not. I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. Is that as an artist, you get comfortable doing certain things in certain ways, and when you try to venture out and do things that you're not good at, it becomes uncomfortable, and you have a tendency to fall back into your comfort zone. It's clear that the developers and the people who are in charge of whatever games are being made at Nintendo clearly see gaming in a certain way. And the problem is that at Nintendo, it doesn't matter if someone comes up with a new idea. It has to go before the board, and if one person disagrees with that idea, the whole idea gets shot down. Even if everybody else in the room says this is a great idea, we need to do this, if one person says no, then that means no. Now, Tatsumi Kimishima was saying that there is a management shakeup at Nintendo to where they're trying to change that to where management teams of each specific region will be able to make decisions on what types of games that are made, so they don't have to worry about this. They don't have to worry about somebody in Japan, some old fogey who's completely out of touch, voting down what could be a great idea. For instance, Nintendo of America will have more control over what games are coming out over here in the West than they have in the past.
So it'd be like Sony, basically.
Basically, yeah. So, Nintendo of Japan, Nintendo of Europe, Nintendo of America, they all can do their own things. Like, we know what works and we know what's popular in this region, and we want to make games that appeal to this region. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while for that to be implemented and to be completely turned over, but that is a good step in the future. So maybe we'll start to see games, without them abandoning the things that they like to do, but adding to those things. And that's some of the things that the Nintendo fanboys out there don't understand. When we talk about Nintendo doing games that are more serious, that are more contemporary, that are more adult, have more adult themes, they automatically swing the pendulum from one extreme to the other, saying, oh, you just want blood, you just want violence, you just want profanity, you just want nudity, you just want guts and gore. Like, no, I just want games that deal with grown folks' themes.
It's almost like when certain people hear the term Black Lives Matter, they automatically think you saying police don't or white folks don't. It's kind of got that same mindset to it, where you're not saying that we don't want these games. We just saying we also want these games. You want the Marios and the all the games that Nintendo make currently, but you also would like to have games like this as well. So you can have both and still Nintendo still be Nintendo, in other words.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason, because it's not like it's something that's new. This is something that Nintendo's done in the past for several generations. I mean, the NES had games for everybody, the SNES had games for everybody, the N64 had games for everybody, even the GameCube had games for everybody. Not so much the Wii, but at least the Wii had some diversity there in certain areas. I mean, most of the third-party games that they got were basically shovelware or quick hits to be able to cash in on the popularity of the Wii. We were talking about the Dead Space game. It wasn't a true Dead Space game because they just wanted to put a Dead Space game on the Wii because everybody was buying the Wii and it was hot.
Right.
But with the Wii U, nobody cared. It was like, no, we're not bringing our stuff over there. No, even companies that promised to bring their games, like Slightly Mad Studios promised to bring Project Cars. They even used the Wii to even push the game in and of itself, because nobody was really talking about that game until they said it was coming to the Wii U. It was going to be an exclusive to the Wii U.
Even had a car in the trailer with Nintendo on the bumper.
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah, and then it wound up not coming out at all. So stuff like that. So it really depends. It depends a lot on who's in charge of making the decisions at Nintendo right now. I mean, there's so many different things. I mean, we can bring. I mean, you don't even have to create new stuff. Bring back 1080. Bring back Wave Race. Bring back Kid Icarus as a major title. Bring back Eternal Darkness. You renewed the license of it a couple years ago. For what? Let's make the game. And I'll go back to what I was saying before. Talk to Disney and say, hey, look. We know that you gave the license to EA to make Star Wars games, but can we at least bring back our Rogue Squadron games, for our console and be just, exclusive to the NX? I mean, just do something like that. I mean, because there's no reason for them not to have Star Wars games on the NX as well, because there's going to be a lot of Star Wars stuff happening over the next few years.
Right, you're right.
So stuff like that, it just got to be more adventurous.
Okay. Well, let's move on from this topic. I think we exhausted. Unless Jedi Knight got something else he want to share on it, because I got a question I want to ask him that he didn't get the chance to talk about last podcast, and I was curious to get his thoughts on it, being overseas, to see how it's going over there. Do you have anything else you want to share on this NX Nintendo topic, Jedi Knight?
Oh, he stepped out for a second.
Oh, okay. Well, let's move on, man. Far as the next gen go, we see two things being targeted. Seem like it's being targeted with Sony and Microsoft, and not so much Nintendo. And I think Nintendo is wise in this area, but we talk a lot about VR, but we don't talk a lot about 4K gaming. So, like, I want to talk about that, bring it into this to spotlight, because VR kind of overshadowed 4K, but 4K seemed to be what cats are trying to strive for now. The Scorpio is talking about 4K game, and Neo flirting with possibilities of 4K game, and of course PC gamers, the elitists, They want 4K gaming. Do you see 4K gaming as the next wave? Do you think is it something that is going to be successful now, or is it something that's going to be almost like 1080p? We've been doing 1080p full HD supposedly since the introduction of the PlayStation 3, and we still haven't fully realized 1080p 60 frames per second gaming even to this day. So is 4K gaming realistic, or is it something that we need to kind of stop and back off from and look at history with 1080p and say maybe this ain't what we need to be concerning ourselves with? D2K.
Well, this is what I think about it. Wait a minute. Hold on 1 second. I gotta cue the sound effect. That's it like you just pretty much said it. It just there's no reason to be focused on 4K when you don't have default 1080p 60 frames per second across the board for all platforms that are on the market right now. There's no reason to be reaching to me. People it's a quote that somebody said. I don't know who said it, but just because we can do a thing doesn't necessarily follow that we must do that thing. And I think that just because 4K gaming is possible doesn't mean that we should be trying to reach for it right now. It's not necessary because you have not even perfected 1080p 60 frames per second gaming. There's so many things that they haven't even perfected in terms of just gameplay. We have not really perfected true one-to-one analog controls yet. We have not perfected AI yet. We haven't perfected, having games that are not bugging and clipping and screen tearing and all this type of stuff that just plagues games here and there. Like, we get the games to the point where they're all buttery smooth, 100% with no bugs whatsoever. Now let's try to go to a higher resolution.
I agree with that.
Go ahead, Jedi.
I think that if it shouldn't be a selling point, basically. If a company is gonna come out and the selling point is 4K gaming, it kind of defeats the purpose. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have a lot of people who may have the ability to play in 4K, and having the same situations like characters morphing into one another. What's the point of having a situation like that just to see morphing in 4K? I think D2K has a point. There are a lot of things that could be fixed. And personally, I would rather have better graphics at 1080p than having more of, clarity or fidelity at 4K. 1080p is fine, I don't think it has to be a selling point right now. Also, I think they also need to make sure that the games are in fact 60 frames a second. I don't think that at this juncture we're going to have 4K gaming and 60 frames per second. I've never really been a big, supporter of 60 frames a second because the majority of my gaming has been done on console. But experiencing, certain games on the PC, I can see what the hoopla is about. If we can have, like, if I have a game that's 30 frames per second, it's not like I'm going to call it unplayable. Like, that's just nonsense. Right. But if I had to...
Black Bond? No, go. Sorry, go ahead. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I sneezed. I'm sorry.
Something in my throat there.
Black Bond. I'm sorry.
If I had... You guys are crazy. But true. If I had the decision of having 4K gaming at whatever frames they can finally get 4K to be versus just having a solid 60 at 1080p, I'll take the 60 at 1080p every day.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to, because I got my TV upscales to 4K, so it's not true 4K. So let me be technical. But it's upstairs. I caught it on sale, bought it. I won't lie. It makes my PlayStation 4 games look better than my 1080p downstairs. There's more clarity. It's brighter. It's clearer. But beyond that, I'm not. I mean, I know this is not literally playing in 4K, but still, I don't get why we as gamers are so easily manipulated into feeling like we need things that they push at us when we ain't even got the stuff that they've been pushing at us yet. Like D2K said, we haven't realized 1080p at 30 frames per second, let alone 60. We still have games that can't even be that are not being clocked in at 30 frames per solid, like that it won't fluctuate from that. To this day, we still have games that are sub 1080p on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One right now, and we supposed to be in the HD era for the last decade and a half. So,
but you know what's so sad about that is
go
that
ahead.
when you look at the Wii U, you don't see a whole lot of that on the Wii U. You don't see a whole lot of frame rate drops in a lot of the games. The AAA games from Nintendo. It's always very smooth frame rates, and that's something that's going all the way back to the N64 era. That's one thing that Nintendo makes sure is that they don't have a whole lot of frame rate skipping, screen tearing, and all that type of jazz. So it really is about the developers. But if the developers in general cannot give us that, then they need to leave the 4K alone.
Yeah, because I don't. If like I said, if they can't do 1080p locked at 30, and like Jedi was saying, experience it on PC, he knows what 1080p at 60 looks like, and even in that, a lot of rigs can't even do that well. Are we realistic to even think or even consider 4K TV? I mean, 4K game is that's to me is gimmick because it's not going to be realized. So you've been sold a gimmick because you're never going to really get it. You see what I'm saying? So that's more gimmicky to me than a controller that has a screen in it or a controller that lets you manipulate motion. 4K is more gimmicky than anything because while the technology is real, hardware and the price that they're trying to sell it to us at, it ain't realistic to get it at this time, and we probably won't get it for maybe a decade and a half from now. We'll be in the same boat we are with 1080p.
Yeah, there's nobody that's going to be making native 4K games for the next 5 years. I can't see that happening because if you can't even get 1080p 60 frames per second, as default, how are you going to sit up there and tell me that you're going to get native 4K games? No, I'm sorry.
Right. So, go ahead, Jed. I mean, you got anything else you want to add? Because I got a question I want to ask you before we get out of here.
Yeah, you can ask the question.
You wasn't able to talk about this. We talked about it a little bit earlier, and we talked about last podcast, man. And you overseas, you in Germany, right?
Yes.
What is the craze like over there, man, with this Pokemon Go stuff, man? What do you think about what took place in Pokemon Go? The fact that they finding dead bodies, stopping. I read an article where they literally stopped a molestation, like a child. They stopped a child from getting molested yesterday.
In Germany?
Not in Germany, in America.
Yeah. Okay.
They had basically a stampede, I think, either in New York or Washington Park. I think somewhere they had this footage of it on YouTube and different areas where they had hundreds to thousands of people show up at the park at the exact same time for one particular Pokemon. Where you just saw it looked like a concert was going on with Jay-Z or somebody. It was thousands of people out there running each other over for these Pokemons, man. You seeing people getting robbed and all kind of stuff, having wrecks playing Pokemon Go. So, from Germany, give me your thoughts on this craze, man.
Well, I did see the two videos. The one from, I think it was in Washington, D.C. It was in some park. Yeah. And some guy, ran into another guy. He fell on the floor.
Yeah.
And another one from Central Park where, some dude just got out of the car, and it was like a whole bunch of people. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this was actually because of Pokemon Go. There hasn't been much. Well, the town that I'm in, it's mostly elderly working people. It's not like a big city here, right? So there's really no Pokemon Go happening here. But from what I've seen on the internet, it sounds like absolute madness. I heard that. Hold on, in a moment. Yeah. My wife just said that there's crazy Pokemon Go going on here in Lingen. Okay. There's okay in the old city hall here in Lingen. There are people who are meeting up at the old city hall because of Pokemon Go. They're giving out Pokemon balls and all of this. I didn't even hear this.
You know what? I just saw on ESPN. There was a fight. I think it was a Bellator, and the guy he knocked the other guy out. But for his finishing celebration, he grabbed a hat from outside of the ring from somebody and pulled a Pokeball out and rolled the Pokemon ball over to his opponent that was laying on the ground. Knocked out.
There's the ultimate level of disrespect, man. Dude, I literally saw, and I don't know if y'all seen this video, and I was gonna send it to you, and I still send it to you guys on direct inbox on Twitter. It was a dude drunk. He was drunk out of his mind. But he was talking about Pokemon and how he got to catch them all. And he started crying. Like, he said, I don't care. He said, I don't care if you see me crying. I don't care if you see this grown man crying. But it's not catch some of them. It's catch them all. And I got to catch them all. I'm going to find every last Pokemon. He cried, eyes red. I'm like, and me and D2K and the guys last Thursday, Jedi Knight was like, is it some voodoo or some hoodoo on this game? I'm like, I'm scared to turn it on, man. Like, I'm scared to look at it. Like, I might get caught in the trance too. Like, I don't know if I want to touch it.
I haven't downloaded it or anything, but I heard that this is the most popular game in U.S. history already.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's true or not. This is what I heard. You know, there's been plenty of games that have been downloaded millions and millions and millions and millions of times, but I heard Pokemon Go is in another stratosphere right now.
It seems like it is.
You got folks just getting into accidents, walking into trees. Some lady walked off a cliff trying to get a Pokemon. And I guess my question to her is, did you catch the Pokemon before he went off the cliff? Is what I want to know.
Like, it's a cultural phenomenon, man. I'm sitting up here, a social phenomenon and cultural phenomenon, but. Yeah, I had to get your take on that, man, because we don't get a chance to get it up with you, get up with you as much as we want to.
Yeah.
On Sunday, so I had to hear what you had to say, man, because I know you've been seeing it, and like I said, I'm scared to turn it on, man. I look at it, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't think I want to get in this trance yet, and I turned it back off. I was like, I don't want to get hooked yet.
Yeah, I haven't really been, as deep into, especially with the Pokemon. Like, there's been a lot of things, as you guys obviously know, that's been going on in the States. And I've just been concentrating on that because I have family, obviously, still,
right.
In the States, and but that's a whole different story. But I've come across my fair share of Pokemon stuff, and I did see that video in Washington Square Park. That was hilarious. It did look exactly.
Clothesline him, right? The dude in the black shirt just ran up and knocked dude over. I was like,
knocked dude right out.
But yeah, man, we gonna tell y'all again, if you playing that Pokemon Go, man, be careful. Like I said, you don't know if you're gonna catch a rape, don't know if you might get raped, you don't know if you're gonna get robbed, get ran over, run somebody over, because people literally are playing while they're driving. It's this is retardedness at another level, man, and it just shows how easily influenced our society is, especially in the States. We doing some retarded stuff over this game, man, and I just wanted to hear how you thought about it, coming from Germany overseas. And what
my wife heard more about it than I did. She just surprised me with that. They're getting up at the old city hall for Pokemon. Yeah. I'm like, okay, What? You know what? Actually, what I should do, if I can find out what day that's happening, and I'm available, I'll drop by and I'll record it, and I'll put it up. That'll be kind of cool.
Don't do it at the hours, man. Like I said, the crazy thing about it is they got stalkers that's following these paths and trying to catch folks off guard, looking for Pokemon. So you gotta be careful, man. There's people out here that ain't got no good intentions.
True.
So when you playing that
they
game,
end up
man,
turning Pokemon Go into Craigslist. It's crazy.
Yeah, we just talked about last week. D2K brought it up. Black Bun's girlfriend thought it was wise to go outside after 12 o'clock. Supposedly almost got kidnapped. I'm pretty sure he's lying, but still, he said that happened to his girl, which I don't believe it. But still,
was this from somebody that he was disrespecting on the internet? Was he
He
serious?
said
Or was that...
he said that himself on his video.
Yeah, he said
I'm not even subscribed to Black Bond. I don't, it's just his whole way of going about things. It just kind of turned me off. I don't think he's a bad dude personally. I just don't like his content. But
I don't
I
follow
hope,
him. I just heard
yeah,
from D2.
I hope
so.
that she's alright if he was serious. But you
No,
know,
she all right, but it's just like he was just trying to point out how ridiculous this whole Pokemon code Grace has gotten.
oh, okay. It was based on Pokemon. I'm
Right, it was
thinking
basically it wasn't just a random kidnap. No, she was playing Pokemon. She was bored, so she got out. It was like around 12 o'clock midnight, and she went out looking for Pokemon, and then she wound up almost getting kidnapped. These are his words, not mine.
Okay.
Like I said, you know, Black Bun be on some
Yeah, he's probably
mean
exacerbating the situation.
I
I
think
thought it
he's
was a
lying,
situation where you know he's always arguing with people over the internet and people be threatening him, you know. And I thought his lady walked outside and
No.
All right.
Man, this internet beef it's easy to threaten somebody over some keyboards and cameras.
Yeah.
Let me see you in real life, see how fast that threat come through.
I listen to these videos for a good laugh. I just laugh.
And that's what it is.
The back and forth between Hard 8 and Dr. Trey is just I mean, it's just high grade comedy.
Can't take these dudes serious, man. That's why, like I said, that's why I fell back on all the posts, and I just do this because I like chopping it up with you guys. But YouTube is slowly becoming a place where you just waste time. You ain't really hearing nothing worth hearing too much anymore.
I just had to put down a video this past week, but before we even call it a night, I did a video doing a response to Sax Rebel HD in regards to the RX 480 and the GTX 970. Some YouTuber, I used a graphic of his. I gave him full credit in the video as well as the description, put a link in the description directly to his page and to the original content. This dude almost caught a heart attack, you know? He's giving me all types of ultimatums. He went on Twitter calling me a thief, basically saying I was stealing his content. Like, there's weirdos on the internet, man. I pulled down the video only because I represent Full Effect Gaming as well, and I didn't want to associate that nonsense for my feelings about how he reacted to it. But when I thought about the situation, I'm like, people are true ass clowns on the internet, man.
Yeah. Like I said, man, they faceless. They you don't see them, you never come in contact with them, so they can be as bold as they want to be. But like, I don't take none of these dudes serious, man. I mean, first of all, if you like that, you ain't gonna hear it coming from me over Twitter. It ain't no point. If I got to go there with you, it ain't even no point me even talking with you. So that's why I can't take none of these dudes serious.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it until one of his 70,000 subscribers came to the page and told me that it was up on his Twitter. He came to me on the video in the comments and basically gave me an ultimatum. You got 24 hours. So, you know, just going back and forth, but I never even knew that he was on Twitter. Right? And dude, it was madness. You know, I'm gonna make sure his name remains nameless, but it was just the fashion in regards to how he went about it. If I use your content and you want to control your content, I can understand that. Like, you know what? I respect the fact that you gave me full credit, but do me a favor, pull it down because I want to be able to control my content. A situation like that, you guys see my page, and anybody who knows me, I don't take YouTube seriously. If my page was deleted today, it wouldn't matter much to me, you know?
Right.
And some people use their page for business, so I can understand that. But the dude, the way he went about it, and I'm sitting here like, really? Like, calling me a thief, I gave credit to everybody it wasn't just his content. It was multiple people. I used their content, gave them credit. The dude was monitoring my page, going back to Twitter. So, he used stuff from the know. And if anybody watched the videos, you see that I gave credit to the know. It's like, it's weirdos on the internet, man.
Right, weirdos. I guarantee you, Jedi, that you can go to his channel, and I guarantee you he got footage from other people and places that ain't created originally from him. So,
but he'll have a convenient excuse as to why it's okay for him to do that.
Yeah, you know. So I didn't want to go through the back. I was gonna re-upload the video as a way of flipping the bird, just because of the way he went about it. But it would have just been an ego thing, and it was just like, you know, whatever. Right. It's no.
Man, I've been doing this for basically going on 4 years now. And I've seen some stuff done happen to me. I don't even talk about some of the silly stuff that don't happen to me because I know people know who I'm talking about. But people show their feelings, man, and show that they so tied to this stuff, man, that it don't stop once the cameras and the keyboard clicking and stop. It don't stop for them. This is real life for some people. This is just fun for me, you, D2K, John Shaw, K-Bump 20. It's just a social place to come and talk games. But for some people, it's their life. They try to get you off of everything because you had a disagreement or you said something about their video. They kicking you out of this and kicking you out of that and booting you from this and booting you from that. And it's like, and I want, to me, it's like it just showed me how childish you are. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't losing no sleep over your community and over this and that and the third. I won't even speak on it. And haven't spoken on some of the silly stuff that doesn't happen my way. I don't care. I don't check my YouTube DMs. I don't know who's sending me what at any given time because I do not care. I mean, once I make the video, if you don't say nothing in the comment, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Even in the comment, I don't care. It's just me talking games with fellow gamers, having a good time, and then I'm going up talking to my wife who I can see for real, and my kids, and that's it. So that's how it is for me.
Is that a shot across the bow there?
I don't know if I was. I don't know. I wasn't intending it to be one, but I just said, I don't get why people get so caught up in this stuff, Jedi Knight. But like you said, there is some true weirdos. Some are popular. Some leading factions of YouTube, and I just choose not to be a part of none of that nonsense, man. So I kind of shrunk back. And you see who I chop it up with, and that's it. Not going about my day.
And I mean, there's a lot of people who I subbed that I had to kind of desub because, a lot of their content was starting to become a little bit too I don't want to say fanboyish, but it's starting to go in that direction. It's not as objective as it was in the past, and I have to say, I don't really want to listen to this. I rather listen to people who are more objective, that have a balanced perspective of what's going on in the gaming industry. Those are people who I sub, and people who keep it positive, keep it happy, do positive things. Don't have a lot of profanity or not doing anything crazy. Let's just keep the channels and have fun with them. I mean, there are people who literally dedicate their entire life on their channel to going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, analyzing one word and making a whole slew of videos off of one statement somebody said, and it's just
and this guy, he actually has an excellent YouTube page. It's not even like he has some slapdick, if you will, YouTube page, and he's more computer enthusiast oriented. I used his work as a way of appreciation because I respect what he was doing. My only problem was the man called me a thief. Like, why would you call me a thief, brother, if I gave you full credit? It wasn't like I took your work, uploaded it, and pretended like I did it. And it was only like 15 seconds worth of it bothered me. It really did.
Man, it don't have to make.
It was the fact that he called me a thief, man. You don't
have to make sense to be stupid, man. It don't have to make sense to a stupid person.
But it's just like Mark Twain said: never argue with idiots. They'll bring you down to their level and beat you with experience.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Right. It ain't no right way to do stupid, man. So just let it be. So, with that being said, man, this is the Live and Level Gamer Podcast. This is 58, episode 58 with Jedi Knight and D2K. If we do a podcast Thursday, I don't know what's going on in my world, so we will see. But till next time, folks, I'm gonna let these dudes sign out. Go ahead, Jedi, sign out, man. Let them say your last thoughts.
Peace and love to everybody. My apologies for getting to the podcast late. I actually had a garden party in my backyard with my neighbors, and I was like, I had to do something that I just made sure I ran up here and got with you guys. But as always, till next week.
Cool. You weren't too late, so that's cool. We had already said you'd probably jump in later anyway. D2K?
Stay safe out there, everybody. Till next time.
All right, folks. Keep it safe playing that Pokemon Go. We don't want no scary stories. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to find out about you getting raped in the corner somewhere for trying to find Pikachu. So keep it safe out there. All right, folks. Deuces.